I have Brian back because we did not finish every single joke that he has memorized over his career. How do you do it, Brian? Do you have thousands and thousands of one-liners?
Yes, and believe it or not, if you want to look behind the curtain, when I come up with a new joke, I'll scribble it down on my notes along with all my show notes so that I find a way to work it in because I got to keep fresh material, and that's one way to do it.
It's a, whether it works on the broadcast or not, you work it in. Yeah.
Whether it's appropriate or not. Hey, you'd be pleased as punch to know the joke I didn't tell yesterday when we were
Oh,
discussing what our epitaphs would be. Oh,
about
that one
epitaphs.
is that one is not sufficiently PG for this channel.
I see. Well, I did remember the name of that container where they put your parts, and that's an urn.
Oh, just on the urn. Oh, I thought you
That
had
was where
somewhere
we
more
came.
official.
Right. Okay, listen, we're going to go, or no, we're not going to go around the world like we have so many times before. We're going to go kind of around the topics. Okay. So I'm not sure how this is going to work or how it's going to end up, but we're going to try it and just to see how anyway, what have you heard about Cybertruck? What's up? Anything with Cybertruck that's new and interesting and worthwhile talking about?
Yeah. So I was at the Tesla McAdams Service Center for the Tesla Owners Club of Oregon event on Saturday. Bo was out there. Bo is the service center manager, has been a Tesla employee for 11 years, owns a Model 3, his wife owns a Model Y, and now, of course, he bought a Cybertruck. He doesn't get to drive it though, because 6 days a week it is his wife's car. And and uh and one day a week he is too kind and he drags it around for people like us. So he brought his own truck in, got there early, washed it himself, parked it in the room where we were having the meeting so people could touch it and poke it, which is very gracious. He brings it to events and whatnot so people can actually see it. Show me a service center manager who actually does that.
Yeah,
He's
that's good.
got the newest update, the one that went out to employees. So he's got 12.3.5.
Oh,
It
wow.
is not yet on the Cybertruck, but there are Cybertruck updates included in it, including the rear steer turn radius has increased.
Right.
Uh, and also the uh, charge curve has increased.
Hmm.
So some of the things we were hoping to see, we now see. And when I say we, I mean Bo sees. I have not seen them because I did not get a Cybertruck, let alone that update. We've seen that the recall is going quick. We actually got to see it performed in a
Right.
video on X,
Yeah.
and it took, well, it fit in a short. So it is
Yes.
a
Yeah.
1 minute fix. And apparently they did the proactive thing. There was this big Cybertruck meetup in California where let's have a Cybertruck meetup. We've got enough of them now. Let's do it. And they get there to their thing. And guess who else is there? Tesla has shown up with their mobile Rangers. And they're like, all right, let's bang out a few dozen, baby. This is like 1% of the fleet right here. Done in like an hour.
Right. Right. Fantastic.
Mobile Rangers.
So was he allowed to say anything about his performance on point five?
12.3.5. Well,
Yeah.
there's no autopilot or FSD on the Cybertruck yet, but he did tell us why. Because I was of the opinion that camera placement doesn't matter. It just has to understand the world. It just has to, if it can stitch together a picture of the world, it can work. And he said, yes, that's true. But Cybertruck has rear steer, meaning the body moves differently through space.
Oh, interesting.
So it has to fully understand what its movements mean when it turns the wheel because
Oh,
it is different.
got it. Interesting. And that would probably be true for some other vehicles as well, that it would not be, so it's not about the actual camera placement, but about maybe the body, even if the body was shorter, for instance, maybe, or if it was had different turning radiuses. I mean, all kinds of stuff would matter.
Sure, if your back corners stick out differently, then it
Yeah.
could be different. Great. So your
My back
robot knows how
corners
to.
would definitely stick out differently than.
Yes, well, that's the joke I was making too, which is that if your robot knows how to walk through space, great. Now put a fat suit on it and see how it does.
Yeah, right.
If it's going to start knocking things off the table. but
I
it's so
got it.
thick, nobody
Interesting.
complains. Yeah.
All right. So that's the Cybertruck. Let's
Hmm.
see. What about FSD? You happen to be driving around on FSD a lot, I
Let's
guess.
talk semi.
Oh, let's talk semi.
I am. I Well, sure. Well, we'll do FSD real quick and then we'll do semi next.
Okay.
On FSD, 12.3.4 is what I'm on, and I have seen some great progress. I did ask Bo, hey, 12.3.5, do we know if it's going to stop hugging the curb, get a little more to the center line? And he said, well, did you have an improvement between the previous version and this version? And I said, yes. He said, I, again, it's not on the Cybertruck, but he said, I would expect to see continued improvement. And I said, you know what? That makes sense. That's a good answer. And again, I got to just give kudos to Bo. He's a great guy. He's been a great guy since before I had a Tesla, but and he has agreed to do a show with me.
Oh,
But I have to be very delicate about what top, because he can't say it. He can't say anything
sure.
that would be. So the show we're planning to do is let's talk about all the different goofy voice commands. He's like,
Oh,
that I can do, that I can join you for. I can't. And I said, and I'll throw in questions you can't answer. He goes, oh, okay. I won't answer them. I go, I know, but it'll be funny. So, but that
so-
we just have to get that scheduled. So on 12.3.4, it's working great for me. I am feeding in hundreds of miles of data and I'm getting so many intervention free drives. I've had people say, you know what? I don't care. I need to see, why doesn't Tesla publish an intervention report?
right.
And I said, because it wouldn't be useful. There are a lot of disengagements that I do that would show up as, oh, the car failed. No,
Right.
the car didn't fail. I was driving home and I was hungry and I couldn't put in my destination because I didn't know what I wanted. So I disengaged. I got off the highway and I looked for what I wanted. I get to the store and I disengage. And it says, well, hey, man, what happened? Beep. We're here. I don't know what to tell you, but we're here. You don't need to keep driving. You have driven. We're here.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well,
There's
you've heard about my new metric. I think I mentioned it last week. I don't remember my new metric, and you can see in your brain whether this how you would respond to this in your last 5 drives. How many of those drives could your Tesla have done without you?
without me.
Yeah,
Um, See, I'd say more than half.
more than half of the drives it could have gone from
Yeah.
start to destination, and it would have been fine.
Yes. And I don't know how many more than half, because sometimes you'll say, you know what, enough. Maybe if I sat here a little longer, it would figure it out. But there's a car behind me and I don't feel like annoying anybody.
Is that the number one intervention for you? Usually with an accelerator pedal or whatever is just somebody behind you that you're trying to be
Polite
polite
to.
to.
Absolutely. That is number one. Is
Yeah.
It's not about driving safety. The driving safety is, I'd say I'm over 90% of drives, probably 95% of drives. It's not a safety disengagement.
Right.
It's a convenient, I don't want to annoy other drivers.
Right.
There, I'm sure I do that enough without trying to. Let's, and if it's a Sunday morning, if it's a Tuesday middle of the night, I'll let the car do its thing. I'll pull up to a free right and just sit there and say, let's see how long it takes.
Yeah, yeah,
Is it going to wait for the green or is it going to go? It doesn't matter. There's no one around. No one's going to get hurt by
Right.
this delay.
right.
No one's even going to get annoyed. So yes, I would say the vast majority of disengagements are driver preference.
Right.
So let's
All right. So what you said it. What about the
Semi.
semi?
Yes. Quick question. Where are we at, my friend Elon? Where are we? Because the factory progress appears as close to not possible. Land behind on that. And I don't understand why. We saw a recent report
Okay. All
of
right.
a small company.
Just a second. I'm in this bedroom someplace. We just had a bad freeze. That one didn't correct itself. We had
Sure.
one earlier that did.
Sure.
So let's you said where are we on?
Right. So my friend Elon, where are we on the delays with the factory? We recently heard that a small trucking company, Brower, has one or more that they're using, two, I think, for testing. Are we still in testing? Can we move past testing? I don't understand how Cascadia and Freightliner and all those other guys are able to get theirs on the road at at small scale,
Mhm.
but actually out there available for purchase while we're still waiting on any kind of production. There are a lot of customers who will buy it today in whatever state it is, but it's not in production. So on that, I don't know, and I'd very much like to know.
But we have heard from, I forget his name, the guy that does the semi truck kind of on the street reporting. He's suggesting that he thinks pretty clearly they're going to start with that little kind of a pilot line again and produce maybe 100 a month or something like that.
That was what I thought was going to happen a year ago,
Yeah.
even longer ago. I used to have a source at Gig in Nevada. He went ahead and got himself fired. But Zangler is the drone pilot that we're discussing, and he's had a number of theories that didn't pencil out.
Okay.
And so I take his
Analysis.
postulations with a grain of salt. They absolutely could. They could do uh, easily 50 to 100 a month on the pilot line, and I'd like to see them do that. I think one of the hesitations is for every semi you build, that's about 7 to 10 cars that you can't build,
Yeah.
all of which would qualify for the buyer incentives. So if you're going to be losing your customers 50,000 in incentives for every semi you build, you have to balance that. Are you going to jack up the price of the semi by 50 grand to cover it? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, you
So
just said a minute ago your sources, and that reminded me of a question I was thinking of you just the other day with Jeff Lutz was on the channel. We were talking about going back to the Model 3 and when is the Model 3, the Gen 3, the $25,000 car gonna come? And he was saying, okay, if there's going to be a Gen 3 uh come out in the next year, we would be getting pretty close to the time when some orders, or not even the orders, maybe the requests for quotes would start to go out. Have you heard anything at all in terms of the Gen 3?
I haven't. I will reach out to Bob again and see if he's seen anything. It's not too early to be seeing parts, a request for bid at least. Uh, but they would start needing their prototype parts now, really. So I'll get on that, Randy. Thank you for the reminder.
Okay, yes, please.
And thank you, Jeff, indirectly.
Indirectly, Jeff, yes. Okay. Never mind. There was almost a joke there, and my wife says that sometimes I should just let them go.
Hey, that's half of the comedy specials I've seen is there was almost a joke there.
It's almost a joke. That's right. Okay, let's see. There's also the question. Oh, so we finally have the Shanghai uh mega factory underway. Is there any news on that one? Are we seeing anything that is reportable?
No, it's just underway. And we have seen a reiteration of the timeline that uh like Q1, Q2, we expect to start seeing volume. So it's Shanghai, when you order a factory, you get a factory. That's just how that works.
So
I will say that our good friend Wuwa, who has been doing drone flights for years, his channel was hijacked by scammers, and he was unable to get it back. So he has a new channel now.
I see. Oh, wow. Interesting.
Very disappointing.
Very disappointing. Okay, so then we had some reporting this morning. Not CATL, the other big battery maker,
LG,
LG, putting
Panasonic.
together some
Okay, LG.
extremely big contract with Tesla. Apparently, it's almost inked. Is this something you have any additional reporting on?
No, I have not yet to read that for this. There's this guy that I work with who got me up too early, so I haven't checked the news today.
I don't know who that would be. Why would somebody do such a horrible thing? All right, let's see. What else do you folks out there want to know about that I haven't thought of? Oh yeah, this is not a live feed. Okay, so I have to come up with this on my own. Okay, Model Y sales in the United States, I'm seeing reporting that it's very disappointing. Has that turned around, or what do we know?
I don't know who says it's disappointing.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything to lead me to believe that's the case. They still are thick as flies on the roads, and I've seen rumors that the Juniper refresh is already underway, but they are not credible rumors.
Oh.
So I don't know. I haven't seen anything on that. As I've said before, my sources would not necessarily be helpful because they're when they say, "Oh, we've seen the new, you know, the new interior of the car," they wouldn't know because the parts in common are so many that yeah, it. I'm not sure I will be able to see it coming. Once we see road testing, we'll know it's at least on the horizon, perhaps within 3 months, but we still haven't seen it, and it's already April.
Hmm. Well, okay. So there is the matter of Optimus. Optimus has gone into hiding. I have thought that possibly Optimus has gone into hiding because they really decided maybe we shouldn't be showing all our stuff.
Yes, that is correct. I think we're going to see less and less from Optimus, and what little we see is going to be more and more impressive. They're not slowing down. They haven't plateaued. They've got the best engineers working on it, the most exciting, some of the youngest, and they're out there kicking butt every day. We just those were recruiting events. Those were not promotional events. No matter what you hear from the dumbest people online, these are not pump and dump events. There was no dump, and the stock price didn't move. So please stop saying everything is a pump and dump just because you don't understand what words mean. Yeah, there's I having been an English major, I get a little frustrated by abuses of the language. So when everything is a pump and dump, nothing is. And you're ignoring the people who are genuinely doing a bad job to criticize the people who are doing a good job.
Yeah, I've been called a pump and dumper. And
How many?
I've been called
Yeah,
other
how many shares have you sold?
how many yeah, well, okay. Remember, I was a trader for a while. But that was not when I had the station, when I had the channel. It was
Right?
before I had the channel.
Oh, that's true.
So now I'm not a trader now though.
Yeah.
Nope, haven't sold anything. I do have
Yep.
that is a lie. I sold and then rebought immediately some leaps
I bought
in order to get the leaps further out there.
I sold 12 shares because that reclaimed my entire initial investment, and since have purchased another 30 or 40 shares. But I'm done. I'm done selling, unless I need money for something. I'm done selling.
Of course, yes, like food.
And also those 12 shares were sold before I had a channel.
Okay, all right. See, all right, yeah. We're not pump and dumpers. We're just pumpers. No, that's not true. I try my best to only to report the news as absolutely even-handedly as I possibly can. I know that from time to time I failed to report a negative piece that maybe I could have. From time to time, I might not report a negative piece. And I might put a higher standard on the negative piece. What do you think?
I think you are much more bullish than I am. I do not hesitate to criticize when it makes sense. I've had a lot of people on X and elsewhere say, "Oh, you're just a raging bull. You need to be honest." And I say, "I'm the guy who wrote the article, made the video, 5 Ways Tesla Sucks." And mind you, it had a subheading of if the Tesla bears were honest. And I looked at legitimate criticisms that these guys are ignoring, in choosing instead to focus on fantasy, on genuinely pants on head, ridiculous stuff. If you guys were any dumber, I'm not sure you'd be able to breathe. You would forget how. So there's this fine little line where you've got people who are just dumb enough to type this stuff, but still smart enough to type. I don't understand how it works. I'm able to criticize, but it has to make sense. If I seem overly positive, it's because the reality is positive. I'm not going to balance 50% good and bad stories when 90% of the stories are good. And that's why
the real stories. Yes.
The real stories. Well, and I will cover the fake stories because they're so easy to dunk on. They're just some of them you look at and they're just, there was a video I made criticizing an op-ed about how terrible Tesla is, and they said they're never going to catch up because, as you know, I don't know if you know this, but Waymo in December hit 7 billion miles of driverless, and I was like, what? I pull it up, 7 million. You missed it by a factor of 1,000, by three orders of magnitude.
And maybe it was a mistake. Maybe. Maybe not.
So when you get things that basic, that wrong, you have no idea what you're talking about, and your editor doesn't exist or doesn't care or is dumber than you and to fact check. So yeah, I follow the people who say bad things because one of these days they'll say something that's true. I examine their and our education system writ large, but it's going to be fine. I'll get through it.
All right, listen, to all of you out there watching, I do want to give a tiny apology that I am, of course, traveling, and sometimes my Wi-Fi is not going to be great. And so right now I might be frozen and my Ryan might be frozen. I'm pretty sure he is. Maybe he looks frozen to you. Maybe he doesn't. Sometimes his words might not have come out at exactly the right time, and they might have come out in a great rush. At least they did on my screen. But I'm going to try to clean these up as much as I can before publishing. But maybe some of it still won't be cleaned up, and this might be even worse in some of the cities that I'm going to. We'll see what happens over time. Brian, any closing thoughts with regard to the world of Tesla today?
Nah, I'm just cautiously optimistic. And I think that's a decent way to invest. Do as much research as you can, understand as much as you can, and I don't know, see how it does.
All right. Well, thanks again for being on board. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.